There have been calls for Israelis to stage non-violent protests and acts of civil disobedience against Benjamin Netanyahu's plans to take over Gaza. The Israeli cabinet is due to discuss military plans for Gaza with other ministers later today. And former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert is one of those calling for Israelis to take a stand against Netanyahu, and he joins us now. Good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us. You served as the Prime Minister of Israel between 2006 and 2009. Tell me your thoughts on the current government there.
Well, the current government there is a strange government. Is made up of a group of messianic, fundamentalist, extremist, chauvinistic that are in favor of deporting the Gazans from where they live and deporting the West Bankers from where they live and incorporating all these territories into the state of Israel. And seems to presently that the government of Israel is very much captive of these messianic groups. So this is the government.
Okay. And you describe them as messianic and obviously with a view to them wanting to annex both the West Bank and Gaza. A full military takeover of Gaza, this is what is being floated currently by Benjamin Netanyahu. Do you think, one, could that happen? And what do you think the level of ordinary Israeli support for that might be?
I don't know at this point today what is the exact balance, but over a long period of time, majority of Israelis are against continuing the war. They're in favor of stopping the war and getting back all the hostages. And they don't believe that an expanded military operation will help save the hostages which are still alive. Perhaps on the opposite, we may lose them. So I think the general attitude of most of the Israelis is that we need to end the war immediately. And this is in opposition, of course, to the voices coming from the government.
Okay. And obviously there's a disconnect there. The government is saying one thing, but you believe the majority of Israelis probably want something else. So why, in that case, is the government, do you believe, adopting this line?
Well, this is not the first time in democratic history that a government is taking a policy which is not acceptable to the public, and this is ultimately determined in the general elections, which are scheduled to be sometimes later, hopefully sooner than the scheduled date for the October 26th. It will be earlier. But the policy of the government is largely influenced by the political needs of the prime minister and the desire of, as you said and I said before, of government partners to annex the territories, both Gaza and the West Bank.
Okay.
And therefore, expanding the military operation on these days is in line with this policy.
And so do you think a lot of what drives this government, aside from perhaps a right-wing ideology among some of them about annexing those territories, but is Benjamin Netanyahu's own political survival part of the mix here as well?
This is part of it. There's no question about it. This is what is said and interpreted by a majority of the Israelis that oppose this government.
Okay. There have been some within the Netanyahu camp who have accused anyone criticising the Israeli government's actions in Gaza, even other Israelis' criticism of it, as being anti-Semitic. What do you say about that?
Yeah, this is the, false patriotism is always the refuge for the villains. I'm afraid that today you don't need to be anti-Semitic to be against the Israeli government. There certainly are anti-Semites who have been subject to their hatred and prejudices throughout our history as Jewish people. But on these days, not everyone that is criticizing the Israeli government is coming from that ugly area.
Okay.
When one can hear the statements made by the Israeli government and the policies advocated by some of the partners of the government, he can be against it. I'm against it also. And I don't think that I'm an anti-Semite.
No. Ehud, can I ask you, you obviously are a former Israeli Prime Minister. Can you see any way of ending this war?
Yeah, look, I think that the growing opposition in Israel is certainly going to be very significant in perhaps changing the government attitudes. The meeting today of the cabinet is very important because the army and the chief of staff said explicitly that they are against the attempt to completely occupy all of every inch of Gaza. And I think the opposition of the army is very, very significant. I think that at the end of the day, the one person that can make a difference is President Trump. If President Trump will say to Netanyahu, will order Netanyahu, as he is accustomed to do, by the way. He did it in the past on several occasions. If he will say to Netanyahu, enough is enough, it will be enough.
Okay. And can you, in your opinion, see any reason why he's not doing that?
You know, I guess I belong to a large group of people that are unable to analyze and predict the most unpredictable person on earth. So I don't know. And if there is a thought passing through my mind, I'd rather not say.
Okay. Look, thank you very much for joining us this morning. I do appreciate it. That is former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. Very interesting, Shane.